Yo, so the opinions and views expressed in this podcast are that of our own and the future Bachelor podcast only, and not affiliated with any outside party or entity or anything like that. This fun podcast, though, may include some adult language.
Future Bachelor Podcast.
Welcome to Future Bachelor. My name is Sai.
And I'm Veronica.
And we talk about Bachelor. We talk about Bachelor. That's what we do here.
This episode we're covering jealousy knowing no age.
Oh.
Mr. Steal Your Girl ×2.
No.
And the OG Swiftie in football.
What? And this is episode 285. Let's go. Guys, wow, look at us. Late night pod right
look
after
at us,
watching.
who would have thought? Not me.
Yeah, I mean, not me either. It's been a very long day, and we are doing Bachelor coverage right after the shows. Veronica's been doing some special reporting in the field. But before we get into that special report, we want to thank everyone that's been listening and that has listened and that will listen. Veronica, though, I have to know, how are you?
I'm decent. Yeah, I feel like, we're in... The days start coming, they don't stop coming, as Smash Mouth once said. And I feel like October snuck up on me, and now we're fully in it. But, the weeks are long. The days are short and long, but the weeks are long, and the months are short. We're in October. It's spooky season. We're getting hints of fall here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're able to not sweat the moment we walk outside. It's kind of nice. And because of that, we got hints of that over the weekend, and we decided to take advantage of that opportunity and do a little date night at Buford Corn Maze, Buford Farm, whatever it's really called, out of a corn maze that actually, I think is partially sponsored by the company, if you will.
Wow.
Yeah, throwback.
You get a discount?
What?
You get a discount?
No, I didn't, which feels like a crime, but
Oh, man. What is that? Oh, yeah.
Womp womp indeed. But
That's
we
fun.
did the corn maze.
Did you guys get lost?
We ran into,
Did you get lost?
No, we didn't get lost. The corn maze, we just went through it first. We did one time through, and then we looked at the map again, and technically, you can find the different checkpoints, to complete the maze the right way. You're supposed to find, the 6 checkpoints. And it's it looks like the look of it from aerial view would be it's kind of a couple different, faces and things. And it's thanks, and it says, thanks for 15 years. And it has actually the station, the company's logo of a specific entity of the company based here as part of it as well. So we then went through the second time to figure out and find all of the whatchamacallits, the checkpoints,
nice.
As well as dodging, teenagers throwing corn. So always
corn
fun.
Chuckers. Corn chuckers.
Ran into what?
We call them corn chuckers.
Corn chuckers, indeed. Ran into a couple of pals, Tag and TJ, and a couple of those people who were also out there at the same time. So that was kind of funny.
Nice.
And then just been enjoying the beginnings of fall. It's been football season. You're wearing my team's colors, my hoodie of sorts there because we had a big game that we lost against LSU, but we're still doing pretty well for, people don't really think a lot of Mizzou in the SEC. But,
I wear this to root for.
I
wear this to root for you.
Thanks, pal. MIZZOU, all for you.
I'm doing good. Just a lot of rehearsals. We got Sweeney Todd starting next week, so I'm just back to back from work to doing the other rehearsals for She Loves Me and just.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one too.
Yeah, we're doing the housewarming party tomorrow or today, whatever it is. So it'll be fun, So, but enough of all that. Why don't we get into what we do around here? You know what I'm saying? Because it's that time to talk about the Golden Bachelor in Paradise. I think instead of saying the Golden Bachelor in Paradise, I'm going to say the Golden Bachelor and Paradise.
I think that works.
Yeah, I got it. All right, cool. We always get there.
We get there.
You know, I before we get talking about the Golden Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise, YouTube, I'm going to need you to go ahead and subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, and hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time we drop new Bachelor content just like this. And if you just did, oh, man, what? Huge shout out to you. Ooh, air horns for you. I have to just say that like I've been so busy. I haven't been able to really see the comment crew this week. So you know how sometimes you guys aren't into comments. Sometimes we just not be into comments. I don't know, but I'm gonna get back to it. But I do want to shout out to all my crew. I know the Nancy Drew crew was in there. I'm gonna predict that Marion SP was in there. You know, I know that for sure.
Ooh.
And but yeah, guys, just bear with us. It's just a very transitional week. We're trying to keep this coming at you, and that's why we're doing it late nights. So shout out to all you guys holding it down in the comments. I'll get back in there. But besides that, Veronica, why don't we just get into it? Like, let's hop into the Golden Bachelor week 3.
Week 3, we're here. Something I've noticed that they're doing for this show is like they kind of do a cold open. Where in usual shows are all like tonight on whatever. Instead for Golden Bachelor, they just kind of like drop us into an emotional scene. Mm-hmm. Like last week, it was the wedding thing with Nancy getting upset, and then this week it's like we see Gerry crying on a bench, and we're like, God damn it, what's gonna happen? And then they like do like a fade to their like their title screen of like Golden Bachelor, blah, blah, and then we get into it. So, the ladies, which I guess they really are keeping them at this house, which seems crazy to me. The ladies are starting to form alliances. They're starting to form feelings around the fact that they're all competing for Gerry's time and love. And, there's one group who they call themselves Askin, which I think this is hilarious. A for April, S for Susan, K for Kathy, and N for Nancy. And they're like, if you're asking, we're not telling, or like, if you're asking, we're telling vibe, which I think is hilarious. And they definitely, Kathy seems to be like the ringleader in part of that because of feelings that she's having around Teresa, going around and just talking about her one-on-one date a bunch, which is rubbing Kathy the wrong way, which becomes the underlying thread of the entire episode. But before we even get to that, our man Jesse comes through and he tells everybody that there's going to be one group date that week and one romantic one-on-one. And, he's like, I'm sure you guys want to know who's going on this group date. And I literally like respond to my screen being like, yeah, who? Because we didn't get to know last week.
Right. Get it together,
they just
Jesse.
both showed up.
Yep. It ends up being everybody.
Right.
Everyone gets to go on this group date, and it's going to be a talent show. I love talent shows.
Right. I love when they have them do this kind of stuff where they have, and I think like the theme of this is like to really show that like even though these are older women, they all still have talents and they all still can like do stuff and like be creative and perform. And Kaitlyn Bristowe is a guest judge on this date, which a bunch of these ladies love her. Obviously, they must have all watched her season. And the winner of the date will get some special, like a dinner date portion with Gerry.
I feel like they didn't really use Kaitlyn Bristowe that much in this.
I know. I kind of was disappointed. I was like, I wanted her to like give more of like advice or like something or like more. Like, I'm here to support. So maybe she did, but maybe because this show is only an hour long, sometimes I do wonder about how they're editing, what they're deciding to put in and what they're deciding to not, because I feel like I don't know if I agree with all their decisions thus far.
Well, there was definitely a lot of girl power in the building this evening. You know, I appreciated that. Like, everyone just seemed to be very supportive of everyone. And, you know, one of them was like, I would literally pay a ticket, like, to see this show.
Yeah, it was Susan.
Yeah.
Susan was like our Kris Jenner wannabe. She was like, I'd pay money to watch this. Like, people are doing everything. Like, we've got ladies dancing. We got ladies singing. We got ladies doing comedy. We've got ladies doing taekwondo. We got ladies doing push-ups.
We got ladies teaching sex ed.
Yeah, that was amazing. And then we've got poor little Joan, who seemingly thinks she has no talent. And so she's like all worried about it, which I'm like, oh man, that's like so sad that she really thinks that. And then she like writes a little poem, and I'm like, poetry's a talent. Like, and it was actually a very cute, I thought it was a sweet poem. I thought it you know, explained her journey of like getting there and how she was nervous, and it was like it all went together. It was very cute and fun, and also, you know, it really told a story. And Leslie really thought she had it in the bag because she did a sexy dance on Gerry, because, you know, she's a dance instructor, and she's like, I've danced all my life. Like,
yeah, she
I've
really
got this.
She really thought she had that. She was like, they were like, I don't know. I think it was a little. What was the word they used?
A little too much. A little.
Yeah.
They're like calling it like, yeah, inappropriate. They're like, it seemed like, you know, scandalous.
Whatever. So yeah, that ends up happening, and you know, it's funny because Joan ends up winning. Like, Gerry thought she like when she was reading the poem, oh, she's talking right to me. So he did that. So she gets the date, and they have a wonderful date. You know, they talk about, you know, losing their partners and stuff, and it seemed to be perfect. I don't know, like these
and
women,
like getting back into the dating scene, and just like, you know, what they gave up to do this because, you know, they wanted to prioritize themselves for once. And, you know, everything, it looks like an amazing, like, it looks like it's going to end on a great note. But then, alas, we cut to the morning, and Joan is in tears on the phone, talking to her daughter, who just, you know, 2 weeks prior, had a baby. And I guess the delivery was not super great, and I guess there seems to be complications. So, and her daughter had sent her a message, which this is what I want to know. I want to know if they give these folks their phones, or if there's like a more lax rule on the phone situation.
No,
just
it's just
because
probably emergency contact. Like, they have to be able to talk to people if there's an emergency. So.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, she ends up having to leave, and she has a great conversation with Gerry. Gerry takes it really well, and she's gone.
He's bummed for sure.
Which is definitely a good sign for the ladies, because she was going to be probably going far, I feel
Top dog.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyways, what happens next?
Yeah. So that definitely, you know, Gerry's feeling some kind of way, but he still has a one-on-one date that he's got to be getting ready for and going on. And the designer, Michael Costello, comes in, and the one-on-one date goes to Ellen. So he comes in, takes Ellen to a different room in the mansion where he set up all of like these dresses for her, and like jewelry and shoes for her to like, you know, figure out an outfit for their nice date that night. She picks out this pretty pink dress. She gets all dressed, pops out. Gerry's there in a cute little tux, and he's like, wowee. And they head on their little dinner date, and, you know, they're having a great time. He's going into it saying, you know, that he feels most himself with Ellen, but like he hasn't really felt the exact romantic spark yet. More like he feels like very comfortable with her. But he's like, but I'm looking for that extra oomph. And, you know, nothing says extra oomph like a pretty outfit and going on a hot air balloon and doing some product placement for Neil Lane with some earrings for her to complete her look.
They kiss in the hot air balloon?
Huh?
They kiss in the hot air balloon?
They kiss. He pulls out a rose out of nowhere. I don't know where the fuck that was. And gives her rose up in the air. And they're having a great time. Like, he's like, Ellen really, like, bopped her way up to the top. Literally.
Yeah.
In this date.
I mean, I think, like he said, he can just really be himself with her. And she's very comforting. I thought it was interesting, him talking about his wedding from 50 years ago and not remembering anything. Like,
that was hilarious. He's like, I look at pictures and like, whatever. And I feel like it is very typical, like, of some of that stuff back then. They were getting married really young. They were getting married when they really, like, had no money or anything like that. So, like, there isn't, like, a ton, to do with that. So it is fascinating to think about that,
So that goes good. She gets the rose. We start getting more clips of Teresa, like, not really being self-aware of how she's coming off. Like, not only is it annoying,
right,
but it was like what Kathy said at the end of the episode. She was like, "You're talking like you've already won." Like, it's like your love story. Like, we are all going to go pack our bags and stuff. Like, that's the way it did come off. And she does it again later on. Like, literally does it again.
Yeah. It's like, I can tell that she's excited, but it is like, she's talking to everybody as if they were, because I feel like these women are getting close. They're becoming close friends. They're like really like vibing with each other, but she's talking to them as if they are just her friends that aren't also into the same dude. And I think because this is such a different experience for all of these people, like, because they really haven't been dating as much, like, at least like when you're 20 something or whatever, maybe 30 something on this show, you're at this point used to dating around, potentially having a roster, if you will, like dating multiple people at once in some kind of way, where truly, like, if we're going to be honest, Bachelor franchise shows are this very bizarre form of polyamory. And when you're an older person, like, they're like, that is so far from what they're even in the realm of knowing, that I think especially hits harder that they're all dating the same person. And even though they are building those friendships, I think they don't know where that line is of being like, okay, like, I'm talking to my friend about how excited I am about my connection and how I'm feeling, but also, like, she's feeling some kind of way because she hasn't had, alone time with the same dude that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, oh, yeah, he says we want to travel. He says we want to, like, talking in we's to somebody who also wants to be a we with the same person.
Yeah, well said. I think it's like, yeah, I hate to say older people, but older people, it's like older people on Facebook, it's they aren't used to Facebook. So now that they're using it, it's like they're using it like we used it when we first came out,
Right.
So they just have to get used to it. As far as like dating in this scenario. But anyways, what ends up happening here towards the end of this episode?
So we're getting to the cocktail party, and people, like, tensions are high just because people are feeling some kind of way about the time they have or haven't had. Kathy and Teresa kind of are at odds, but Teresa doesn't even really know it. And so during, like, the kind of pre-cocktail party time, April, who's part of Askin, makes a statement saying how people need to be mindful about what they're doing and how they need to not talk about intimate connection details because, they're all trying to do that as well. And that should be something that's out of respect, not even just for them and the other women, but out of respect for Gerry and, like, how he's going about his process. something that people should be keeping closer to the chest. And like Teresa's all like, okay, like I feel this was targeted, and kind of figures out that it was targeted, and is, you know, and is concerned because she's like, what's going on here? And Kathy goes and talks to Gerry just herself about how she's been feeling down and having a rough time with that whole week, and just how, you know, how she's been feeling. And Gerry rewards her with a rose, just right there on the spot.
I didn't see that coming.
Me neither. I was like, whoa, where's he going?
Also, Kathy held it down and didn't snitch.
She didn't snitch. I did appreciate that. I was like, is she gonna bring it up? Or like, is she gonna be like, well, Teresa keeps going around like talking all about your guys' great date, and I'm feeling some kind of way. She instead was just like, you know, it's been tough, like going through this. Like, I really want to have this connection with you, blah, 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 blah. Like, she does make it very much so about her and his connection together, and not about what, you know, Teresa is or isn't doing. So, like, kudos to her on that. And then
who ends up going home?
Edith and Christina end up going home. And before they even get to the rose ceremony, Teresa does confront Kathy after Kathy had her talk with Gerry and be all like, yo, like, why was Edith saying this stuff about me? And Kathy's all like, I don't know what Edith said. I wasn't there. And Teresa's all like, well, she said this and like blah, blah, blah. And I know that you've been upset about this or that. And then Teresa pretty much just like gives it to her point blank. She's like, you've been boastful. You've been walking around saying all this stuff, acting like, you know, your end game pretty much. And Teresa breaks down and is super upset. And, you know, Gerry ends up talking to her about it. But I feel like it isn't, the drama is similar, but it isn't handled the same way as a normal show. I feel like, just because like Gerry doesn't look at it and is like, oh, what are these girls doing? Way is more of a like, oh man, like I knew Teresa to be like this or that. Like this must really have her shooken up. Like if this is how she's acting or feeling.
Yeah, I agree. But I was like, oh, here we go. Like when it started happening, I was like, oh wow, the drama is actually starting to happen. It's the formula is still here. But yeah, so Edith, Christina go home. We get some scenes of next week, but I think we should just hop right into Bachelor in Paradise. So it looks like we start off on a new day, recupping all the couples, and we got a new boy in town.
We do. The ladies have the roses this week. The boys are like, our power has been relinquished, and they're not feeling great about it, especially as we have hottie number 1 come down the steps, and it's Tanner. And all of the girls literally perk up the second Tanner comes down. They're like, ooh, like a lot of them had Tanner on their list. A lot of these dudes are already like, fuck, like this is like they're all self-aware. They're all like, We're worried. We're worried. This is Tanner. He's tall. He's handsome.
I think it's so interesting how Bachelor in Paradise like reintroduces these characters that like once like could have just been taking a backseat in their season for whatever reason, but now they're hot. Like I know he kind of was like a dark horse in the.
I always thought Tanner was nice and cute, but yeah, I mean him and Charity were never going to be a thing.
But he just
like,
didn't really stand out until the end when he was still there. Like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, he's standing out now.
Yeah. And he talks to Kat, talks to Jess, and it's making both Brayden and Blake nervous. And he ends up asking Kat on the date, and she says yes without a second thought, without even a second glance. She just gets right up and goes to get ready for the date. And even when she comes back all ready for like her to be picked up by Tanner, like breezes past Brayden, doesn't even like acknowledge him. And that's
paradise. That's paradise like courtesy. You know, you're supposed to go and talk.
At least like say something.
You gotta have a conversation.
Right, especially because like they were really close. Like, she just got her rose from Brayden. They were really kind of like looking pretty solid. And they were like all coupley from the jump, all over each other. And, you know, and also like on a friendship front, her and Jess had talked, and like she knew that for Jess, like that Tanner was like kind of her number one. And Jess is also like, okay, you could have at least even like talked to me too, but say less, sis. So Kat just goes off, has a great date with Tanner. They're riding horses. Even though she's scared of them, she does it. She's making out with him while wearing her little thong bikini because a black box is covering her booty. And, you know, she's talking about how they're vibing and she feels different with him. Like, she feels like she has she even admits to Tanner that she feels like she's having a closer connection with him than with Brayden, which feels like a little rude to like be telling the guy that you're on a date with that you feel like a better vibe with him than the other guy that you've been sucking face with for the past week.
I mean, Kylie did it last week.
Yeah.
Kat doing it this week.
So, yeah, it's looking rough. Meanwhile, Brayden is like back at the beach, like feeling like shit, talking to all the dudes, and everyone's like feeling bad for him. And then another hottie number 2 comes down, and it's Tyler Norris. So coming back after being on briefly and actually like, you know, leaving the beach in a relationship with Brittany last year, he comes down. Rachel's excited to talk to him because she's all like, you know, things are different now. Maybe we could even vibe it out. Could be a good time because he was on her season and she had to break his heart by not, you know, bringing him to hometowns or stuff like that. So he talks to Rachel. He talks to Jess, which I was like, Jess was definitely like excited to talk to him too. And then he talks to Mercedes. And like, honestly, I didn't even see Mercedes being part of that equation with him at all. I kind of really thought he was like going to go with Jess or maybe Rachel, but no.
I don't know why people are passing up Jess right now. That's weird.
I know. Like, Jess is so cute. And like, and Blake's losing his mind every time that she gets pulled. He's like, I know Jess might be a hot commodity, but goddamn, like, he's like having a hard time. But Tyler takes Mercedes on the date, and like everyone like looks over at Will because like Will cannot keep a girl. Like, poor Will, like every time somebody comes down, his girl is gone. Like, he has not been able to keep a girl. So, you know, they go off on their date, and Will's all like, bruh, what am I gonna do here? What am I going to do here?
What does he do?
Well, what he does is he ends up talking to Wells, and like he's feeling sad. And I mean, to fast forward to later on, like Tyler and Mercedes on their date, they see a shooting star, they see a raccoon, they all think these are great signs. And she ends up coming back and talking to Will and being all like, hey, like I'm not fully set on either one of you guys just yet. Like, I definitely want to be able to like sleep on it, figure it out, see where I'm gonna be, because like I know like you care a lot about me. I had a really great time with Tyler, but I had a really good time with you the other night. Like, she's like trying to at least like figure out, learn more about them before making a decision, because unlike her, when Kat comes back from her date with Tanner, she pretty much comes to and finally talks to Brayden, and she's all like, yeah, I don't think my feelings are really gonna grow more for you, like so like, which I'm like, what? Why would you say it like that? That's wild. So she pretty much dumps him, and Brayden's like, what the fuck? And she goes about like the rest of her evening acting like so happy, like, yeah, it was such a great date, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, Brayden's like, what the hell? Like, I really was falling for her, and like we were really like feeling some kind of way for each other, and then she just completely blindsides me. And it takes until like some of Kat's friends, like it's Jess and Kylie, are like, girl, we gotta sit you down because you need to be mindful about how you're acting, because you literally just got this man's rose the night 2 nights prior, and now you're acting like see you later, like whatever around him. And she's all like, of course she gets really defensive about all that. She's like, well, I think I'm allowed to have my feelings and make my decisions and blah, blah, blah. Like, I've been very open and honest with him the whole time. Like, there was nothing whatever. And they're like, well, go fucking talk to him more. And so they go and talk, and it doesn't really go well, honestly. It seems like they're spiraling, because she's all like, why are you acting this kind of way? And he's all like, what do you mean? Like, you literally didn't tell me anything before the date. And she's like, I've only been open and honest. And he's all like, okay, but like not in this situation, you weren't. And so like they pretty much get nowhere. She storms off, and he's like, cool, whatever. Yeah, so all the while, Sam is going in and out of the bathroom trying to poop, because she hasn't pooped in 9 days. And she talks to the doctor, and the doctor pretty much tells her that by sunrise on day 10, if she hasn't pooped yet, they're going to have to ship her back to the States for her to get some, heavy-duty medical assistance for her poop baby. They might have to, surgically remove her shit, which is ridiculous. And so because she pretty much has a time limit, they put up this funny little time ticker, where it has a little baby in a little toilet, and at one point it has a little baby in logs, you're cutting logs. I'm dying. And then because she then goes and tells Sam about, not Sam, she is Sam. She goes and tells Aaron about this, which thank God he's a firefighter and paramedic. So he's all like, I've seen some shit, literally. And he makes her up, brings her all this food to hopefully try to, get some stuff going, some beans, makes her take a shot of olive oil, see if that will help her shit. She's been taking laxatives. She's been doing all the things. He's, having her move around. She's, in pain now, though. She's all like, this is too much. She's like, if I don't poop, this is going to be bad. And she's like, I really don't want to leave paradise because of my shit, literally. And so we end the episode with, her still in pain and us hoping to see if she gets any movement going to stay in paradise, or if she's going to be taken out.
Wow. What an ending. That's wild.
What an ending indeed.
I don't know what to think. I'm excited to see where these relationships go into next season. I'm pretty invested now. I wonder what will happen to Brayden. I care for him, Yeah,
I wonder too, because, I feel like there was predictions just from seeing after the final rose or whatever that him and Rachel, and Rachel had shown interest in him. And I don't see Rachel and Sean being anything more. So I'm waiting to see where Rachel starts to make more moves, more meaningful moves. And I wonder if it'll be in Brayden's direction or, or somebody else, because Brayden pretty much wasn't pursuing anybody but Kat, and now that's not even a thing.
Right. Anything else happening in Bachelor Nation?
Yes. So, because, all of the news surrounding the fact that Taylor Swift's been hitting up the Kansas City Chief games for her potential mans, Travis Kelce, Jordan Rogers, husband to JoJo Fletcher from Bachelor Nation, and also estranged brother of Aaron Rodgers, Jets quarterback, formerly of the Packers, talked about how he used to save tickets for keep them in will call for Taylor Swift back when he played for Vanderbilt. He played football at Vanderbilt, which is in Nashville, and I guess she lived down the road at the time, because that was when she was living in Nashville and really boosting her career. And he had found a picture of when he met her back in the day, back when she was still wearing her hair curly doing the whole country girl thing. And how, he's like, I've been a Swiftie, like I paved the way for Travis Kelce. So he's like, no, she never showed up, but she did live right down the road. So I thought there was at least a chance. So I just think that's funny.
Hilarious.
Just dang it.
What else?
And then speaking of Bachelor in Paradise success stories, Astrolock and Kevin Wendt welcomed their second son to the world this past week, Nash Lachlan Wendt. And so that joins their family now of 4 with their older son, August, that they've already had, and all are well with them. So we love to see a Bachelor in Paradise success story fam and everything like that. Truly, those seem to be the strongest of couples and families from any of the franchise shows. Totally.
Well, what do you guys think? Let us know in the comments. What do you think of the new alliance Askin in the Golden Bachelor mansion? What do you think about all the moves the cat's making in this episode of Bachelor in Paradise? Do you think Brayden's going to stick around? I think he might. This is the way Paradise works. Just let us know what you guys thinking in the comments, and we'll get back to you shortly. Because this is the only time we could record this week. This is kind of like what we had to sneak in. I'm coming from rehearsal, so I didn't get to watch the show as in-depth as Veronica did, so I appreciate you, V, for getting in there. But they should be back on track next week. So everybody, shout out to you. And, we're going to cut this episode short with that. This has been your favorite podcast, Future Bachelor. My name is Sai.
And I'm Veronica.
And we love you. Deuces.
Bye.